So, the Beeline Moto, is it any good? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So I've got this Beeline Moto navigation system for motorcycles, but you could also use it for bicycles as well. I suppose you can use it for a car as well. There's no reason why you can't. Anyway, I got this and I thought I'd put it to the test and tell you what's what. Now, here's the thing. You've probably seen lots and lots of videos about this little gizmo, okay? It's actually very intuitive to use. Very simple in many ways. It comes in nice little packaging. It's got a little charger in there, USB charger. You can charge it off the mains, or you can charge it off your laptop or anything like that. So you can even charge it off the motorcycle, right? Very easy to install on your bike. I've got one of these handlebar mounts, and it's got various sizes, and it's even got the big size for my big handlebars as well. So very good there. Now, you basically take this out of the packaging, give it a good old charge, download the app to your phone, whichever phone you got, an iPhone or an Android. You sync this up to the app. The instructions are very simple. In fact, the instructions that come with the unit are very paper thin, hardly anything there. So it's all done off the app. Sync it up to your app, and then away you go. So the question is, does this little gizmo, which is about £170 in change, sometimes it can be a little bit more, depends where you get it from, is it worth it? Well, it's actually very easy to use. It's just got a little diagram on there. You just follow the arrow. There's got a little countdown in miles or kilometers, whichever you set it to your next waypoint or your next turning point. It's got a little graphic representation of what kind of junction or roundabout your next turning point is going to be. It's got a little dot which will tell you when you arrive at that next turning point which direction you're going to have to go. It's very simple. However, there's a couple of drawbacks. On top here, for mine, there's a little silver button. That's the on-off button, right? You've got to make sure that that is in the direction of travel. So for me, it's got to be mounted like that in the direction of travel. Because if you have it 180 degrees, it doesn't know which way it's going. So you would have thought that this would act like a compass in many ways. It knows its position in space, it knows its orientation, and it knows which direction it needs to go because it's got the information from the app on your phone. But it doesn't do that. It's got to have a fixed position in space so that it knows which track it needs to follow. So maybe there's something they could improve on there. The other little thing that I've noticed is that the little graphic representation of what your next turning point is, it tells you that it could be a roundabout. It tells you that you may need to veer off to the right or to the left or choose a particular lane if you've got 2 or 3 lanes, let's say. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't tell you whether you've got a junction to the right or to the left, or you're coming up to a T junction. So it would be nice to have like a little T or an inverted L, left or right, that kind of thing. The other thing I think which it struggles with is, let's say when you go off route, off the main roads, it does this. It kind of whirs in the middle. It doesn't really know where it is. So it's kind of lost its position in space. I noticed this if I was in a car park and I set a route. It didn't really know where I was until I got onto the main road. So I suppose this is true for all sat navs, but it kind of misses a beat there for me. Okay, so I think the final drawback of this, when let's say you go off the route or off your intended route, and it takes a while for it to reroute. Now sometimes it reroutes and it's trying to go left and right, and the arrow is turning all over the place, and it might point behind you, then it turns left, then it turns right, and it's very confusing to look at it and say, well, you know you're off course, but this doesn't know where it is. When you eventually get to near a main road again, then it seems to find itself again. Sometimes it reroutes really quickly, other times it reroutes really slowly. Now, it depends if you've got the app open on your phone or whether it's just going on in the background. By the way, your phone has to be on and connected to the device via Bluetooth, otherwise it just won't work. But if the app is active, it's supposed to reroute really quickly, but it doesn't do that. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Strangely enough, when I had the app minimized and just working in the background, sometimes it rerouted, sometimes it didn't. So it's a bit off and on, if you know what I mean. But it does work, but it just takes a while to catch up with itself. Okay, let's just talk about the absolute positives of this. It's a lot cheaper than a dedicated motorcycle sat nav that can cost what, £300, £400, £500, dollars, shekels. So this is what, £170. It's really good value for that. The other great thing is that it's waterproof, shockproof, dustproof. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't throw it at a wall, but you know, it's rugged. And it's very simple. It's got a simple design. It's got a simple display as well. Easy to work out. The other great thing is that you're not having your phone on your handlebars as well. Now, you can put your phone on your handlebars for limited use, I would say, but there is still the problem, especially with iPhones, of it potentially damaging your phone as well. So having this really works well. It doesn't drain the battery on your phone either, so you can have the phone in dormant mode, let's say, and it'll still work with this. So this works really well. It's got a whole range of mounts that you can have direct for the handlebars. You can have one that's elasticated and it just wraps around anything. You can even have these ram ball mounts as well, so you can have it mounted a lot higher up. Now, I was a little bit dubious about this, whether it would last a long time in terms of battery life. Supposedly, it will last 10 hours in night mode, and it's got a really bright display for night mode, and 30 hours in just sort of daylight mode. Well, it's lasted hours and hours and hours. That's all I can say, really. And I think it's supposed to have something like 6 months in standby mode as well. So you basically just turn it off, power it off, and then you just put it in your bags or whatever it is, or put it in your pocket, forget about it until you need it again, and 6 months later you should still have enough battery life in there to, you know, to go on a journey. But I think the sensible thing is to give it a good old charge before we go, you know what I mean? Okay, let's just talk about the unit itself. You basically just got an on-off button. When you take it out of the packaging, you turn it on, and it's got a little sort of welcome message saying hello there and where to. Where to is the kind of catchphrase of the Beeline Moto. When you turn it on, it gives its own little ID. You open up the app, it recognizes the ID of that, you sync it up, and away you go. The display is very simple. You've got this left and right button here which scrolls through a menu. So you've got, let's say, speed, actual speed, so you can compare this speed of this to the speed on your speedometer. It gives you numerical information about distance to your destination and how many miles you've traveled. So basically it's an odometer, really. It's got a clock on it. It tells you how long you've been riding for. It's got battery life on it, and it's got a settings page. So as I say, it's got an app with this on your phone. All the settings you change on the app. On here, it's got a settings button, and it doesn't have any settings. It just tells you about. You can unpair this to your phone or from your phone, and you can exit it. So it's not really useful. I'm not sure what it's got the settings button there for, to be honest with you. I've tried this in my car. I've tried this on the bike, of course. I've tried it in daylight conditions, nighttime conditions. I've tried it in different weather conditions now, in the rain, bright sunny day like today. It's really cold right now, freezing temperatures here in the UK. I mean, it works like a charm. It works really great. So I suppose the question is, would I recommend it to you? Okay, so here's my thoughts on it. If you've got a motorcycle, like a modern touring motorcycle or a big adventure bike or something like that, that's got built-in sat nav, well, then you don't need it, right? You just don't need anything like this because you've already got it. If you've got an existing sat nav, like a TomTom or Garmin or something like that, you don't need it because you've already got one, right? If you've got a motorcycle that doesn't have any sat nav whatsoever, this is a much better option than your phone, and I'll tell you why. One, you've got that thought that your phone might get damaged with extensive riding with it mounted to the handlebars, especially over any kind of rough terrain or rough roads or something like that. The other thing is that your phone can easily be swiped. Let's say if you're riding through the city streets, some ne'er-do-well comes along and tries to swipe your phone from you off your handlebars. The other thing is that you probably want your phone on your body just in case you come away from your bike in the worst case scenario in an accident. So having your phone on your person is probably a much better option than having it on the bike itself. Now, bearing in mind that you can get apps or lifesaver apps on your phone now that will pinpoint your position accurately to any emergency services, or making an SOS call as well. So let's say your bike is 100 yards away because you've binned it for whatever reason, and you're down a ravine or lying in a ditch, you're unconscious. Your phone app might be able to send out a message, send out an SOS distress signal, and they'll be able to pinpoint exactly where you are. And there have been recent cases of this. So having your phone off the handlebars, especially for extended periods, is a good thing. Having this Beeline Moto device on your handlebars instead is a much better option. Some of you might be thinking, oh, but the battery life, I'm going on a long tour. Well, you can charge this on the go as well. If you've got USB charging on your bike, you can just disconnect it, connect it up to the charger, and whilst you're riding along, you can charge it. Now, can you use it and charge at the same time? Well, I think you can. But the point is, let's say you might be going on a big motorway journey. You might have 100 miles to do on a road that you don't need a sat nav for. You just stay on that road. Well, then you just disconnect it, charge it up, and away you go. You can charge your phone at the same time, whatever. So you don't necessarily have to be using the sat nav all the time, especially if you're going on such an extensive ride. However, let's face it, in the worst case scenario, if you're riding at night, and if you're riding for more than 10 hours at night, you probably need a break, right? So whilst you're having a break, put it on charge. Simples, really. I think the great benefit of this gizmo is this. I use it, I disconnect it, and I take it away with me. Put it in my pocket and off I go. That's it. It's secure. You've got it on the bike when you need it. You quickly take it off and it's just so small and it's in your pocket. Unlike big sat navs, let's say, Garmin, TomTom, whatever, even the cheaper ones that you can get off Amazonia, right? They're quite big and bulky. Well, if you know, they're not easy to stick in your pocket. Well, they're not a major hardship, but this, I'm sure you can agree, is a lot easier. So if you're thinking about doing your big tour this year, or any kind of riding, and you're not sure your destination, and you don't want to use your phone, because the phones are really good, right? But if you don't want to use your phone, just for that risk that it might get damaged for whatever reason, and you don't want to invest in a big sat nav, then having something like this might be the best answer. Personally, I'm sold. I like the display. I like that it's really simple. Yes, it could have a couple of improvements, no doubt. Yes, it does faff around sometimes when it needs to reroute. But on the whole, it's great. And I like it. One final thing that you might be asking. You can upload routes to this. So you can use this on road or off-road. So you can upload GPX routes. So you go online, do an online search, create a GPX route, and you can plot your route wherever it is, through the forest, along the tundra, along a beach, whatever it is. Wherever you're going to go off-road or on-road, you can plot your route, save that as a GPX file, upload it to here via the app, and away you go. And you got turn-by-turn navigation on whatever route you've created. It's great. So is the Beeline Moto a good buy? Well, I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say if you haven't got a built-in sat nav, I'd say if you haven't got a sat nav already and you're just using your phone, yeah, great, get one. I think it's well worth the money. It'll save your phone. You've got the advantages of not having your phone on the handlebars. It's on your person. It's a great small little device. It's a simple design, simple graphics. Works. It just works. However, don't buy this if you don't really need a sat nav. If you're only ever going on journeys or routes that you kind of know the way, then fine. Don't use this. You know, just use your phone or just plan your route in your mind and away you go. But if you are going to be going on routes that you're unfamiliar with, then this is great. Now, I suppose one final word of warning, if you like. I never fully trust any sat nav, and that's just me. I never fully trust it. I always try and have an idea in my mind where I need to get to, where I want to go, what the route should be. And blind following of any sat nav, it can be a little bit confusing. Sometimes it will try and take you on a route that you don't really want to take. It's actually a more direct route. So when you're planning your route in the app, make sure it is the route you want to take. You can edit that route, just press and hold the route and then drag it over to your preferred route. There is a way of doing that, so that's quite simple. But always have a good idea of where you should be going anyway, and just use any of these sat nav devices as a final guide, as a final turn by turn. But having a good idea where you're going in the first place is probably going to be of benefit to you. But if you don't need it, don't buy it. It's as simple as that. I'll leave a link in the description for you, but you can go to the Beeline website and get these. I think go off Amazon, anywhere like that, any motorcycle shop I'm sure will sell these as well. But as I say, very easy to come by, very easy to install, to start using. It's just great. It's just a good product. That's all I can say. Right, catch you on the next video whenever that is. I'm going to use this a little bit more now. Ta-da.